Hello, great to be with you again. You know, not so long ago in Gloucester, river crossings were easy. The fords were just concrete sections of road. Even the riverbeds themselves were more like rocky trails weaving around small pools. At that time, you could walk from one bank to another without even getting your feet wet. Well, for us, that was a time of heartache. There are a couple of stories in the Bible where people did the same, walked from one side of a river to another on dry ground, but with great celebration. The first was when a people without a land of their own left Egypt, pursuing the promise that God had made their forefather Abraham. On that occasion, God delivered the people from slavery and saved them from a pursuing armed force of Egyptian chariots. It formed part of their birth as a nation, accomplished by the miracle of God in dividing the waters of the Red Sea so that the people could walk through on dry land. Moses was the leader at that time, and he's been remembered and celebrated in movie roles by the likes of Charlton Heston and even Jim Carrey and Bruce Almighty, who tested his new God-given powers by separating the soup in a bowl while sitting in a cafe. In actual fact, Moses was remembered with a similar miracle in the Bible itself. Now, I think that's kind of special because miracles are not often repeated. How many of us at one time or another have hoped or even tried, like Elijah, to pray and stop the rain, or to pray and see it rain again? Now, don't let me discourage those prayers. I think they express a very healthy reliance on God. But miracles, I think, are generally reserved for the particularly significant moments or times where God is introducing something new, like when he introduced his people to a new land and a new leader named Joshua. It was important in God's mind that his people knew that he was the Lord who saves as well as the one who brings victory, that he was with Joshua like he was with Moses, and that he would be with the children of those who left Egypt just as he had been with them. When Joshua led the people through what had moments before been a swollen river flooding its banks, he told the people to set up two memorials, one right in the middle of the dry riverbed and the other on the other bank of the river that the people had just crossed to, the new land that God was giving them. Here's a few verses from Joshua chapter 4. When all the people had crossed the Jordan, the Lord said to Joshua, "Now choose 12 men, one from each tribe, and tell them to take 12 stones from the very place where the priests are standing in the middle of the Jordan. Carry them out and pile them up at the place where you camp tonight." So Joshua called together the 12 men that he had chosen, one from each of the tribes of Israel. He told them, "Go into the middle of the Jordan in front of the ark of the Lord your God. Each of you must pick up one stone and carry it on your shoulder, 12 stones in all, one for each of the 12 tribes of Israel. We will use these stones to build a memorial. In the future, your children will ask you, 'What do these stones mean?' Then you can tell them, 'They remind us that the Jordan River stopped flowing when the Ark of the Lord's covenant went across.' These stones will stand as a memorial among the people of Israel forever." The purpose, the people were told, was so that in the years to come, future generations would be told the story of God's miraculous provision and his presence with one generation after another. They were to remember and to tell. To look at our rivers today, you could easily forget how dry things were not so very long ago. And sadly, even as believers in Jesus, when times are good, it can be easy to lose sight of how desperate our need is for God, or for how wonderfully he has provided for us. So I believe, like Israel, markers that help us both remember should be those that help us to tell. Some churches attach those stories to their buildings, like how the stone memorial was erected. Some will attach them to names of the significant founding members of their movement or congregation, like how the people knew that God was with them because they could see that he was with their leader, Joshua. Some families will keep memory and testimony alive in the way that they pray at the dinner table. Some individuals will ensure the values and the integrity that they take into their workplace stand as a constant witness that God is with them. What is it for you? What serves as your daily or weekly or annual reminder that God is your victory and your salvation? Maybe you cross the same river every day and say a prayer of thanks to God that his love never stops. Maybe your remembrance is in the songs that you sing. Find those things, because there are people watching you, watching to see whether the God in whom you place your trust is worthy of their own faith. Read about Rahab and you will find an unlikely hero who saw the faith of others in their God and became the woman who not only saved her family, but had her name added to a very prestigious honour roll. Wouldn't it be wonderful to see a friend or even someone who seems against you become part of the blessings that ever flow from God to those who put their trust in Jesus? You know, Jesus never parted the Sea of Galilee, but he did walk on the water like it was dry ground. All he did so that you and I would have a story to tell of how once we were dead without future or hope, but now we overflow with rivers of life. I pray that God fills your life with blessings, that he reminds you of his goodness and that he is mighty to save. And I pray that then you remember that you have a story to tell, one that can bless many and the generations that are to come. We can hang out by the Gloucester River, but what would be even better? Come with me over Jordan. There's blessing on the other side.